In this video we will read data from SD card and display it. So it will look something like this. Now I'll just briefly explain the components on the actual GUI. So created a drop down, couple of labels to show the type of information. So label stadium, team, 1, runners up, years in Premier League, so how long in the last 33 years, how many years they have been in Premier League. Then a couple of labels to display the actual info, the image logo, and the symbols. Now it's ready. What we'll need to do, I tried to load the image directly from SD card to display the logo, but I was unfortunately not able to do that. It's either my config or cheap yellow display doesn't support it. If anyone is able to directly load logo from SD card, it would be good if they can probably post a comment with a link. Anyway, so instead of reading from SD card, what I'm doing is I'm going to load the images as bitmaps. So remember, bitmaps, if it's too large, your SD card, your cheap yellow display will run out of memory. So in this case I've reduced the size, original size, to like 70 to 91 pixels each, so it doesn't consume too much memory. How do you add a bitmap? Very simple really. Click on this, click on bitmap tab, click add, gives a name like test image. You go and select your image. I don't know, let's say Man City, and then you just select the color format RGB 565, click OK, and here you can see it's added. You can use that, for example, if you click on the logo and you can select test image and it will change it. So by default I leave it as Tottenham for various reasons, and then delete this image as we don't really need that. Similarly I use the fonts. You can add a custom font, or you can just use an existing font. Like I said before, if you're gonna use a new font, you have to go to the lvconfig.header file and enable the font you want to use. I have a video on fonts and how to use bitmaps, so you can watch them to learn more. Now the GUI is ready. What you do is save it and build. Build takes a while because these image files bitmap needs to be created. Yep, once build is done, so I've got a project called test_SD_card_LVGL. I also created a same sketch for Arduino, so as you can see that. So what we will need to do is we will need to copy all the UI, the C file generated. This includes the image bitmaps and the font file. So what you have to do is just copy all of this and then paste it into the Arduino sketch. Once that is done, you notice one thing is when you go to your Arduino sketch, you notice all these files have been loaded and there's lots of bunch of image files. The only change we had to make on the image files is if you open one of these image files, you notice that at the top it adds these lines. We'll have to delete all that, and we have to replace it with just this line. So I did all that and then save it. So if you look at my image files, every single one of them have been replaced with this line, etc. Now if you go to your Arduino sketch, there's a couple of libraries we're using to read from a SD card. These libraries, this one, and this is just to read the text files, and to read the CSV files we have to use a separate library called CSV parser. You can install this by just typing it in the library manager. Then you can install the latest. If you want to see how it actually works, it's quite good. So slightly complex, so you can click on more info and read about it. I've separated all my unrelated code to the template to a folder file called utils.h file, and the rest is basically a template we use for all our projects. Nothing changes here, nothing changes here. Setup method, we initialize the SD card. We use the list dir function to just list all the files, just to verify that we are able to read the SD card. Then this function, we load the team names from a file called pl_teams.txt, and then we also populate a struct with all the data for each of the teams. And other than that, this is just standard. LV is initialized and the UI is initialized. We add the symbols to the images we added before while we were creating the GUI. Then we populate the team's data. That is, he just sets the team name in the drop down list, and then we register an event to handle whenever we select a new team, it will display that specific team's data. So if you go to the event handler, this is how we register an event handler. The object that's going to create the event handler name, the event to handle, and anything that we want to update or calculate, we can pass it here. You go to the event handler, just the normal code, the event that the code target that generated the event, and optionally whatever we pass in if you want to. In this case, where you can pass in a label or button or whatever, depending on what you passed. You need to change that to that. If you pass in a button, you need to change this to button. Here we're checking if the event is LV event changed. We're getting the selected option from the drop down. We're checking that it's not selected team. If it is a selected team, then obviously we can't load any data. We're getting the index, and then we're getting the Premier League team from the struct list of teams that we uploaded previously, and then simply updating the labels with the data. So I'm not sure what this is doing. I have to look at that. Oh, this Anyway, now let's go to our utils files. You go to the utils file, you see all the method. I didn't want to clutter the sketch file, so I moved it to the utils file. So remember this this one. If you go fine here, this method just reads the SD card and loads the Premier League team names into an array, which is then used to populate the drop-down list. So here, all it's doing is it's opening the file and then populating the array, just looping through here for each line and then adding it to the array, nothing else. And then the populate teams drop down or underscore dd, all that is doing is using the array that we just populated from the SD card, sketching the options and then setting the drop down option. And then this one reads the CSV files. Again, it reads it and then stores it in a struct list of teams, so we don't have to query the SD card each and every time. And that is, if we go find there. So we go a struct for Premier League team, PL team, ID team, established stadium, cups won, runners up, seasons in Premier League, and image path. Unfortunately, I'm not able to read images from SD card directly, so this value is kind of not used. I'll show you why these fields are named as they are named. If you go to our EEZ Studio project, go to assets. I've included all the files that used. We use one of them. Any of them is fine. So if you open this one, here I can see the header, ID, team, established. And then if you go to your file, your utils header file, ID, team, established, stadium, etc. So this needs to match exactly with this. And now what it's doing is, now I'll explain how to use the CSV parser library to read this particular file. So we get a path to the file, create a CSV parser object. We pass in the format, so because we go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so we go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, comma delimited data on each line. This because I'm not doing anything specific with this data other than just displaying, I'm not doing any calculation. I just left each and every single one of them as string. And then you have to pass in, does it have a header? Yes, we do have a header. This is the header. And the delimiter, in this case, is comma. Now what it's doing is reading the SD file and then just reading all the IDs, teams, established, stadium, cups won, etc. and storing it in this. What we then have to do, we have to iterate through each of the rows and then get the ID for that particular row, and then for row 0 is the first team, so it will go list of teams row 0 dot ID, and we're populating it with the data that was read from the CSV file. So it repeats until we run out of data. This is for debugging, if you're interested to see what gets loaded each time round the loop. And that's it. This method simply adds symbols. Symbols are, you can add to like images, OK, plus, minus. So OK as in when it was established, and I'm using this symbol to show how many cups they won, how many times they were runners up, and how many, instead of, I couldn't find a symbol, you know, to show years in Premier League, so I say upload, using the upload symbol. And then this one, all it's doing is it's getting an index. It receives an index. It recreates the image logo. The aim is here is to free up any image or cache data and then reload it. Although I'm not really familiar with the whole process, maybe you don't even need that. And then all it's doing is setting the, depending on the index, we'll set the bitmap image. And yeah, like I said, I tried to load the image directly from a SD card. So this is the code. This is the part where it tries to directly load from the SD card. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. So if anyone is ever able to do it, it would be good to know how they did it. I mean, I followed the tutorial. I followed the LVGL documentation. Is all it says is set up a file system. So in this case, I set up a FATFS file system. I specified a drive letter, and then I enabled one of the decoders. So load PNG, bitmap, or JPEG, but it didn't still work, so I gave up after like trying for 2 weeks. It consumed too much time. So yeah, I think that's it. And if you just click on upload, and you can see the final result now.